December 14th, 1702. Snow falls silently on Edo as the city sleeps. In the darkness, 47 men dressed in black move through the streets with deadly purpose. They carry weapons hidden beneath their cloaks: swords, bows, spears. Their leader, Oishi Yoshio, is 45 years old, and for the past 22 months, he has lived for this single night. These men are Ronin, masterless samurai, and they're about to commit an act that will define Bushido for centuries. Their target, the mansion of Lord Kira Yoshinaka, a powerful court official who lives surrounded by guards, protected by walls, confident in his safety. He has no idea that 47 ghosts are coming for him, that a debt 22 months old is about to be paid in blood, that his arrogance has cultivated his own destruction. They don't seek glory. They don't seek forgiveness. They seek only to restore what the world took from them: honor. Today, we obsess over being wronged. We document every slight on social media, collect evidence of every injustice, broadcast our victimhood for sympathy and validation. But we rarely act with true conviction. We threaten, we complain, we call out, but we don't sacrifice. The 47 Ronin understood something we've forgotten. Honor isn't a feeling you express. It's a price you pay. And some debts can only be settled with your life. To understand this night, we must go back 22 months to March 14th, 1701, in Edo Castle. Lord Asano Naganori, a young provincial daimyo, has been assigned to help organize a ceremony receiving imperial envoys from Kyoto. His instructor in court protocol is Lord Kira Yoshinaka, the master of ceremonies, a man whose position is built on corruption. Kira expects bribes for his instruction. It's how the system works. Everyone pays. But Asano refuses. He sees Kira's demands as beneath samurai dignity. Kira responds with calculated cruelty, publicly mocking Asano's competence, insulting his family, his province, his ancestors. For days, the humiliation continues. Asano endures silently, as protocol demands. He swallows insult after insult, his face betraying nothing, while something inside him twists tighter with each passing hour, until the moment he breaks. In the pine corridor of Edo Castle, witnesses frozen in shock, Asano draws his sword and strikes Kira across the head. The wound isn't fatal, but the damage to order is absolute. Drawing a weapon in the shogun's castle is unforgivable. The law is clear. The punishment is inevitable. Compare this to the modern workplace, where systematic bullying continues unchecked because HR protects the organization, not the victim. Where speaking up means career death, while the abuser faces coaching at worst. Where we tell people to endure, document, follow proper channels. Channels designed to exhaust and discourage them. Asano faced the same impossible choice. Swallow your dignity forever, or defend it and lose everything. He chose to strike back, knowing it meant his death. Was he a fool? Or the only honest man in a corrupt system? Lord Asano is ordered to commit seppuku, ritual self-disembowelment, that same day. No trial, no investigation of Kira's provocations, no consideration of context or justice. The law cares only for the act itself. He drew steel in the shogun's castle. On the evening of March 14th, 1701, 35-year-old Asano Naganori performs seppuku with perfect composure, his final words expressing regret, not for striking Kira, but for failing to kill him. His death creates 300 masterless samurai overnight. When a lord dies dishonored, his entire household loses position, income, and identity. They become Ronin, wave men, drifting without anchor. For samurai whose entire existence centered on service, this is death by another name. But here's where injustice becomes intolerable. Kira faces no punishment. The shogunate declares him the victim, allows him to keep his position, his wealth, his life. The man whose systematic cruelty provoked the attack walks free. The man who finally broke under impossible pressure loses everything. In that moment, all of Japan understood something fundamental. The law could be just, but not necessarily right. Today, we see this truth play out constantly. The provocateur who walks free while their victim faces consequences for finally fighting back. The system that punishes the reaction while protecting the instigation. The corporation that fires the whistleblower while promoting the corrupt manager. We're told this is civilization, that accepting injustice peacefully is maturity. The 47 Ronin heard the same argument. They rejected it, and their rejection would echo through history. In the days following Asano's death, his now masterless samurai face a choice that will define who they really are. 3 paths lie before them: find new masters and rebuild their lives in comfortable anonymity, accept Ronin's status and fade into history as footnotes, or pursue the path of honor, avenge their lord, knowing this choice means certain death. Oishi Yoshio, the former chief counselor, calls a secret meeting. He's 43 years old, and the weight of leadership sits heavy on his shoulders. He presents the reality with brutal honesty. We can survive with shame or die with honor. Who chooses life? Leave now. No one will judge you. Who chooses death for our Lord's name? Stay and commit absolutely. The room empties slowly. Men leave in tears, unable to make the sacrifice. Others leave in anger, believing the cause is hopeless. Of roughly 300 retainers, 47 remain. 47 men who decide in that moment that a life without honor isn't worth living, that their lord's memory matters more than their own survival, that some principles justify any cost. They don't make this choice in hot-blooded rage. They make it in cold clarity, counting the cost, understanding what they're surrendering. They'll abandon families, endure poverty, live as failures in society's eyes, and die as criminals under the law. And still, they choose it. Today, we abandon commitments when they become inconvenient. We quit jobs, end relationships, drop goals the moment they demand real sacrifice. We've elevated self-care to mean avoiding anything difficult. These 47 men chose a path that guaranteed suffering and ended in death, not because they were suicidal, but because they understood something profound. Integrity isn't what you do when it's easy. It's what you do when it costs you everything. And they were willing to pay. Oishi knows that attacking immediately would fail. Kira expects revenge. His mansion is a fortress. He's watching every move. They need him to believe the threat has passed, to lower his guard, to feel safe enough to become careless. So Oishi begins the most painful performance of his life. He divorces his loyal wife to spare her the coming shame. He sends his children to distant relatives. Then he moves to Kyoto and destroys his reputation systematically. He becomes a drunk, frequents brothels, gambles recklessly, gets into public brawls. Once, legend says, a Satsuma samurai finds him passed out in the gutter and kicks him, spitting, "You disgrace all samurai." Kira's spies report everything. Month after month, they watch Oishi's descent into apparent degradation. The threat level drops. Guards are reduced. Kira relaxes into comfortable routine, confident the danger has passed. He doesn't understand that every drunken stumble is calculated. Every shameful act is strategic theater. Every insult Oishi endures is sharpening the blade that will eventually take Kira's life. The other Ronin scatter across Japan, taking menial jobs, hiding their skills, living lies. One becomes a merchant, another labors on docks. They endure mockery from former peers who believe they've given up. They watch their children grow hungry. They feel their skills atrophy. And they wait for a signal that might never come. This is the sacrifice modern culture can't comprehend. We can't keep secrets. We need to share every achievement instantly. We can't endure reputation damage. We need constant validation. We can't delay gratification. We need results now. The 47 Ronin sacrificed their present for an uncertain future, their dignity for strategic advantage, their comfort for a goal that might fail. That's not just patience. That's faith in a principle larger than self. "22 months pass. Winter 1702 arrives, and Oishi finally sends the message his brothers have waited for. Return to Edo. The hour approaches. One by one, they materialize in the capital, like ghosts returning to the world of the living, still maintaining disguises, still hiding their true purpose, still patient even as the moment nears. They acquire weapons gradually, a sword here, a spear there. Nothing to raise suspicion. They study Kira's mansion with the precision of military engineers. Guard rotations, entry points, escape routes, patrol patterns. They meet in darkness to finalize their plan, dividing into 2 assault teams to trap Kira between coordinated forces. December 14th arrives. They gather for a final council. Oishi gives each man one last chance to withdraw, with no shame. Not one man leaves. They write farewell letters to families they'll never see again. They compose death poems, their final thoughts preserved for history. They dress in matching black with their dead lord's crest displayed proudly. They are no longer hiding. They are declaring who they are and what they've come to do. Oishi addresses them. Tonight, we restore what was stolen. Tonight, we prove our Lord did not die alone and forgotten. Tonight, we show Japan what loyalty means. Fight with courage. Die with dignity. Let history remember that Asano's men were faithful unto death. Modern teams talk about alignment and shared purpose in corporate retreats. But how many people would actually sacrifice everything for their organization's mission? How many would endure 2 years of hardship for a company value statement? The 47 Ronin needed no team-building exercises. They had something far more powerful binding them, a debt of honor that could only be paid in blood, and the willingness to pay it together. December 14th, 1702. The attack begins in perfect silence. The front team, led by Oishi's son, charges the main gate. Simultaneously, the rear team scales the walls. By the time Kira's guards understand what's happening, it's already too late. 47 men who have accepted death fight with a ferocity that living men cannot match. The battle is chaos constrained by absolute discipline. Every Ronin knows his role. They're not fighting to survive. They're fighting to ensure Kira doesn't escape. Guards fall. Rooms are cleared methodically. But Kira isn't in his chambers. Minutes stretch like hours. Did he flee? Is everything lost? Then they find it, a hidden shed in the garden. Inside huddles an old man in sleeping clothes, trembling with terror. Oishi approaches calmly, demands identification. The man won't speak. Oishi notices a scar on his forehead, the mark of Asano's blade from 22 months ago. It's him, Kira. With perfect courtesy, Oishi explains why they've come. He offers Kira the chance to die with honor through seppuku, as Asano did. Kira refuses, paralyzed by fear, begging for mercy he never showed. So Oishi does what justice demands. He strikes off Kira's head with Asano's own blade. The circle closes. The debt is paid. They wash Kira's head in a well and place it in a bucket. Then they begin their march across Edo to Sengakuji Temple. Citizens wake to witness this impossible sight. 47 blood-soaked warriors carrying a severed head, walking calmly through the streets. Word spreads like wildfire. Crowds gather. Instead of horror, there's awe. These men have achieved what everyone whispered about, but no one dared attempt. Perfect justice, regardless of cost. At Sengakuji Temple, the 47 Ronin place Kira's head on Lord Asano's grave. They burn incense. They pray. They wash the blood from their hands in ritual purification. Then they sit and wait. They send a messenger to the shogunate explaining their actions and requesting permission to die with honor. They don't flee. They don't hide. Their mission is complete. Now they await judgment, knowing it will be death, accepting that this was always the price of honor. The shogunate faces an impossible dilemma. Legally, the Ronin have committed murder and violated the peace of Edo. The law demands execution as criminals, but culturally, they've performed the most perfect demonstration of Bushido loyalty in generations. Public opinion overwhelmingly supports them. Songs are already spreading through the city. Poets are composing verses. Their names are becoming legend while they still breathe. For 2 months, the shogunate debates. Execute them and face public outrage, pardon them and undermine the law. Finally, a compromise emerges. The Ronin will be ordered to commit seppuku, not executed as criminals, but allowed to die as samurai. The law is satisfied. Honor is preserved. On February 4th, 1703, 46 of the Ronin perform seppuku in the gardens of 4 daimyo mansions. They die with perfect composure, their duty fulfilled, their names immortal. Only one, the youngest, sent away by Oishi to preserve the story, survives to old age. Compare this to modern acts of revenge, impulsive violence over parking spaces, shootings over social media arguments, lives destroyed in emotional spasms that accomplish nothing. The 47 Ronin spent 2 years planning, executed with surgical precision, achieved exactly their goal, and accepted their punishment with dignity. This wasn't revenge. This was justice performed by men willing to pay its full price. That's a distinction our instant gratification culture has completely forgotten. The 47 Ronin were buried at Sengakuji Temple beside the lord they died avenging. Within days, their graves became pilgrimage sites. Within months, their story was performed in kabuki theaters across Japan. They became the definitive standard of loyalty, the measuring stick against which all claims of devotion would be judged. But their legacy forced Japan to confront an uncomfortable truth. Sometimes honor and law contradict each other. Sometimes doing what's right requires breaking what's legal. Sometimes the system is just, but not righteous, and individuals must choose which master they'll serve. The shogunate never felt entirely secure again. If 47 determined men could plan for 2 years and execute such a feat, what else might be possible? The Ronin proved that authority isn't absolute, that public conscience can override official law, that a small group committed to a principle can shake an entire nation. Today in Japan, the 47 Ronin are celebrated as heroes, while their actions remain technically criminal. This paradox isn't resolved, it's embraced. They're revered precisely because they chose honor over law, principle over survival, meaning over safety. They did what the system forbade, but what human dignity demanded. We face similar paradoxes constantly. When does whistleblowing become duty? When does civil disobedience become moral obligation? When should we break unjust rules? The 47 Ronin don't provide comfortable answers. They provide an eternal example. Some principles matter more than personal safety. Some injustices demand response regardless of cost. And some honors can only be preserved by those willing to die for them. The question isn't whether they were right. The question is, what are you willing to die to preserve? The legend of the 47 Ronin transformed Bushido from philosophy into living standard. After 1703, every samurai lived in their shadow. Every claim of loyalty was tested against their example. Every excuse was measured against their sacrifice. They proved that the code wasn't just beautiful theory. It could be lived absolutely, even unto death. This is the fourth path we've walked in Kensei Code. Miyamoto Musashi showed us that mastery demands solitude, reality acceptance, and choosing wisdom over comfort. Takeda Shingen revealed that victory comes from preparation so thorough that fighting becomes unnecessary. Yamamoto Tsunetomo taught us that embracing death daily liberates us to live fully. Now the 47 Ronin demonstrate that honor isn't a feeling, it's a price. And some debts can only be paid with everything you are. But the journey continues. We'll explore Tokugawa Ieyasu, who waited 40 years to win and built peace, lasting 2.5 centuries. We'll study Oda Nobunaga, who broke every traditional rule and nearly unified Japan through radical innovation. We'll learn from Zen masters who taught samurai to find stillness in chaos, to quiet the mind in violence, to achieve enlightenment through discipline. Every episode of Kensei Code extracts eternal principles from legendary lives and shows how they apply to modern challenges. Whether you're building something meaningful, fighting systemic injustice, pursuing mastery, or simply trying to live with integrity in a world that rewards compromise, these sword saints have wisdom no contemporary guru can match. Subscribe to Kensei Code now. Turn on notifications. Walk this path with us. Because once you understand what the 47 Ronin proved, that honor demands payment regardless of cost, that true loyalty transcends even death, you can never again accept the convenient compromises and easy excuses that define modern existence. And those who understand this never again live by half measures. Will you walk this path? The code awaits.